If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN Daily Morning Bets. Here is your host, Josh Applebaum.
It is VSiN Morning Daily Bets, the day before Thanksgiving, Wednesday, November 22nd. I'm Ben Wilson in for Josh Applebaum. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes out of the start of your day here as we get you set. Very busy day, especially on the basketball front. That's where we'll start as the final day before the big-time football action heats up on Turkey Day with a whole lot of NFL, as well as the Egg Bowl there in college football. Don't forget about that. I want to focus, though, on the college hoops for tonight. We talked yesterday, if you're with us on the show, about the Maui Invitational going on right now in college hoops, and it was a nice win for us getting Purdue home in what was a really frustrating watch, no matter what side you were on, with that game turning into a complete ref show. 51 total fouls combined, but Purdue ends up victorious, got a line move in their favor from 2 to 3.5, beating Tennessee by 4 points. And now the Boilermakers take on Marquette. What an impressive showing from the Golden Eagles. That will be our championship game to start things off on the card for today. Golden Eagles shut down Kansas, slowed the Jayhawks down to just 59 points on the day. A game that went under by 24 points overall. 73-59 win for the Golden Eagles as 4-point dogs in that spot. We're seeing Purdue open 3.5-point favorites. 147 is your total. Seeing a couple books right now that have this posted, similar to how we talked about yesterday. If you're with us on the show, how you get very few books posting numbers so early with the fact you have these back-to-back-to-back tournaments, like we're seeing in Maui over at the Stan Sheriff Center in Honolulu, actually. Not still the Maui Invitational, no longer at the Lahaina Civic Center there on the island of Maui. But regardless, you only have right now DraftKings. It's the only book that's really operating anything. Maybe an offshore book or two that has some numbers posted, but as a result, there's not a whole lot to go off of as far as line shopping. So we'll just start with the breakdown and where I anticipate the market going here. Purdue, 3.5-point favorite, 147 the total. As much as I liked being on Purdue yesterday and won that bet, the 4-point win over Tennessee, I have a different angle here. I like under 147 in Purdue and Marquette. You have a Marquette team that has been able to basically, despite playing at sub 100% health with guard Tyler Kolek banged up, Marquette's been able to have its way, start the season undefeated with 3 really impressive wins. True road win at Illinois, neutral site wins back-to-back against UCLA and now Kansas by its defense and slowing tempo. This is a team running the 228th fastest general tempo in the country with the KenPom advanced metric. So a team that's done a great job of using its full team defense to slow opposing offenses down. And one guy, as much as Marquette, you think about their team and think about the backcourt of Cam Davis, as well as another really good guard in Tyler Kolek. It's been the front court and the 6'11 forward, Ogo Iguodaro, who's just been amazing. Iguodaro, 21 points, 9 rebounds, back-to-back games in this tournament at the Maui Invitational, where he's put guys on posters and made big plays on both ends of the floor. So Iguodaro in this particular matchup, it's the perfect elixir to guard the Naismith Award favorite in Zach Edey, right in the middle of the floor for Purdue. So I like that defensive matchup for Marquette. I like the Golden Eagles' chances to slow down a Purdue team that goes a little bit faster than Marquette from an overall pacing standpoint, but outside the top 100 in overall tempo. If you're worried, too, about this becoming a ref show and you just see tons and tons of fouls called, keep in mind, both teams have struggled at the line, especially in this tournament. Marquette now on the season, just 63% free throw shooting team, one of the worst in the country. And Purdue was 29 of 48. That's right, 29 of 48 at the line last night in the win over Tennessee. Not making those numbers up, I swear. And if you watch the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about, how rough of a watch that was. And so with the way Marquette plays defense, I expect them to force Purdue into a lot of 2-point contested shots. And that's where Purdue struggled, 102nd in the country in 2-point percentage on the offensive side. So I like an under 147 there in Purdue and Marquette. I see only one other offshore as we record here. just before 4 a.m. East Coast time that has a side and a total posted, and that at the moment here is showing a total more like 141. So that's a super big discrepancy. I'm not sure who will where that number will drift towards, but again, anytime you're only comparing a couple books in the market, that's not a super accurate indicator of where things will ultimately go. But just to give us the early edge, I'll look at under 147 in Purdue and Marquette. And this week, actually, today, as you're listening here, starts our VSiN Bets Giving, second annual contest, where we as hosts get a chance to compete 7 days. We have to make at least 7 bets and get a $1,000 bankroll. We're required to spend at least $500 of that. And you can track it, VSiN Bets Giving, through the DraftKings app. So we encourage you to check that out. And since I'm doing this show here Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I will make sure for our first bet, that will be my official play. We'll go Purdue Marquette under, and I just hope, because we're not our official contest starts 9 a.m. Eastern time today. I hope that when I wake up, I will still get that number 147. We'll give it out on the show. We'll see what we're able to get. I'd imagine this comes down a little bit since both teams went well under in their previous game. I should correct myself. Purdue and Tennessee did go slightly over 134 in the last game, but you've had two teams that have played at a sub 140 pace in their last games. Now you're sitting at 147, where I expect the Marquette defense to do a much better job on the Purdue offense in this one. The other game between top 25 teams for your Wednesday card, it is the two teams who just lost yesterday in Maui, Tennessee and Kansas. And man, Kansas has been a pretty lackluster tournament, to be honest. Weren't close to covering at all against Division II Chaminade as 42-point favorites. And then by far the worst offensive output of the year. 41% from the field, just 6 of 17 from 3, and probably more surprising for Kansas in the struggling loss to Marquette, 18 turnovers in that game. It's not what you'd expect out of a Bill self-coached team in KU. And now you get a Tennessee squad that prides themselves on defense. Number 1, Ken Pom rated defensive efficiency team. So as much as I'd love this to be a little nice buy low spot on Kansas, you get a Tennessee team also really struggling on the offensive end. 33% from the field in the last game, 8 of 30 from three-point range. And the big issue and concern I had, it's why I bet against Tennessee yesterday. Outside of Dalton Connect, the outstanding guard, had 16 points in the loss to Purdue. There's just not much consistency elsewhere, and you don't really know what you're getting offensively from Tennessee. So as much as I'd say, okay, 143 is your opening total here, Kansas opens a pick'em, quickly gets bet up to 1.5-point favorites at DraftKings. As much as I'd kind of be tempted to look to go under there, we know this Kansas offense from what we've watched in the early going, put up nearly 90 on Kentucky a couple weeks ago in that in the Champions Classic in Chicago to start the year. We know what the Kansas offense is capable of, and I have to think this is a really nice little buy low spot on the Jayhawks after a couple of lackluster performances. One you could write off because it's Chaminade. It's a D2 team, the host school of this tournament every year. You could understand why the motivation wasn't great, but it was a pretty good situational spot for KU against Marquette, a team who would come off an emotional, tight 3-point win over UCLA. Jayhawks didn't show up, so I would rather go the KU side here, thinking this is the perfect spot for them. Final game of this tournament for both teams. I will like where KU is at from just from the motivational perspective here, and they've got the dudes to counteract this Tennessee elite defense. When you have the 7-2 center, Hunter Dickinson, right in the middle of the paint, it's helped spread things out, spread the wealth for KU. I expect that to happen. So if I was betting this, I think we see KU take some money here. We've seen that a little bit in the overnight already. I'd like to take maybe a cheap money line if you are so inclined to do so. What I'm seeing right now at DraftKings is KU minus 120. So we'll suggest that. Jayhawks minus 120 over Tennessee. Again, that is 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. The first game today for Maui. I should say the Maui Invitational in Honolulu. I'll keep screwing that up every single time. Championship game is 5 p.m. Eastern time, Purdue and Marquette. We have one prime time game in the NBA tonight, 2 of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. I want to get a quick thought on that, so we'll take a break, come back with our final game of the night here on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving edition of VSiN Morning Daily Bets. A big one tonight in the NBA as we wrap up the show real quick. Just a thought on our best game of the night. It's a loaded NBA slate. Be sure to check out Hardwood Handicappers with our guy Jonathan Fontobel, Kelly Bidlin. For the latest breakdown of the Wednesday card, JVT has his full write-ups at VSiN.com as well. Will be posted up early morning here as you wake up on your Wednesday. as we have all but two teams in action and seeing the numbers now start to pile in here. The game I'm most interested in, though, best game on the card, two of the top three right now in the Eastern Conference. It's Milwaukee and Boston. And Boston right now getting a lot of market support. Celtics open 3-point favorites, up to 5.5 now, market wide. Couple of books still hanging out at 5. I see one offshore going to 6. So interested to see if 6, if that's the buy point on Milwaukee. If it gets to 6, that would certainly be my point there on the Bucks, who have actually shown a lot of improvement over the last couple of weeks. Bucks come in at 10-4, Boston at 11-3. Bucks have won 5 straight, coming off a win where they beat the Wizards, pulling away in the fourth quarter by 13. Giannis Antetokounmpo in that game, 42 points. But I want to talk about the defense, because that was a huge issue for Milwaukee out of the gates. 23rd on the season still in defensive rating, which is not very good. But over the last 10 games in which the Bucks have gone 8-2, you've started to see some signs of life. It's a first-year head coach, Adrian Griffin. You figure new pieces being and new systems being integrated into that offense, and defensively, especially for the Bucks, with how that side of the ball has struggled. 15th now in defensive rating over the last 10 games. And here's the thing that jump out to me that I really noticed in the advanced stats. Opposing guards who were just getting wide open threes nonstop against the Bucks. Over the last 10 games, Milwaukee is actually second in the league in opposing three-point percentage to guards. Only 32%. Minnesota's the team who is number 1 in the league in that span right now. So that to me shows you that there's been clear improvements made on the defensive end. As much as Damian Lillard is a true point guard, is a big defensive liability, the Bucks are working and finding ways to get around that, and will need it because you take on a Boston team who's got a lot of motivation here, just signed a player who was a huge part of the Milwaukee run to the title a couple years ago, and a big part of the Bucks' flat loss to the Heat in the first round of the playoffs a season ago in Drew Holiday. So a lot of motivation. It's the first meeting for Holiday since he left Milwaukee. It was a very quick decision there once the Bucks were able to find Damian Lillard in that trade. And so I'm really curious to see just how that matchup goes here. But I expect a really tight game as a result. Boston, the analytics are in love with, and that's why you're seeing, I imagine, this line move going up here, because the Celtics first in the NBA in net rating. We've also seen a bit of a move to the over from 233.5 to 235.5. But it's one that I'm staying away from for now. But if this touches 6, and I see it at 1 offshore, won't give it out as an official play because it's not available at multiple books right now. But we get this up to 6. To me, that's too much of just public general sentiment on a Celtic team that might be a touch overvalued in the market right now. I would like it a lot more had the Celtics not lost in their last game, had a 6-game winning streak snapped, upset 121-118 to Charlotte. That was a big upset on Monday night on the NBA card, even though Jason Tatum had 45 in that game. So, Alex, situationally, Milwaukee will be up for the game. Defensive improvements over the last 10 give me enough reason to think at 6, it's an absolute buy on the Milwaukee Bucks in a huge early season matchup between Eastern Conference powers. And with that, we'll wrap up for this Wednesday. Want to give an early happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Josh Applebaum will have you covered rest of the week here, and stay tuned for that VSiN Bets Giving challenge we've got going over the next week. Be sure to check us out in the DraftKings app, where Josh, myself, all of our other hosts around the network, and writers for that matter, who contribute at VSiN.com will be a part of that. We've got 30 people vying for that championship belt. So excited to see how that goes, and hope you have an unbelievably successful, satisfying Wednesday night of your betting card, and that hopefully will continue into the Thursday holiday weekend. So I'll sign off for now. I'm Ben Wilson. This has been VSiN Morning Daily Bets. We'll have Josh Applebaum covering you on all the latest NFL, college football line moves for the rest of the week.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.